In the gym, at home, in privacy, on the edge. More than ever before, men across Scotland are obsessing over the way they look. It's more than vanity, driven by grief, mental health, shifting standards, and social media. My name's Seán McGill. I've felt these pressures. Now though, I'm speaking to men of different shapes, sizes, backgrounds and experiences to find out what links us, what needs to change.
Don't like what I see in the mirror.
I just sat on the end of my bed and I remember looking in the mirror and like bursting into tears, and I realised I was like, what am I doing to myself? Like,
the way you look in the mirror is a very bad way to judge yourself.
I looked in the mirror and I really hated myself, that what was looking back in the mirror at me.
It's time to reflect on male body image in Scotland. This is Mirror Image.
To me it was like all of a sudden. It's as if you just woke up one morning and decided that you wanted to change the way you ate. You started running. Like for me as your mum, I just wanted to support you. Although it did really worry me when you lost all that weight.
Yeah, it was quick, wasn't it?
It was really quick, really quick.
3 stone I think I lost in 10 weeks, which is rapid really, and it changed me as a person as well, because before, even though I was maybe overweight or I maybe deep down didn't like how I looked, it didn't affect me on a daily basis. I didn't stand there in the mirror and think about it, and then I lost the weight and got into better shape, I think, and then that's when I started to obsess. That's when I started to constantly think about it every day. And that's probably something that you've noticed as well.
Yeah, everything was calorie counted, and it was quite a bit of pressure on me, to be honest.
That pressure isn't just being felt by my mum or by me. It's a national issue on a growing scale. 12% of Scottish men have experienced suicidal thoughts because of their body image. That's according to Mental Health Foundation Scotland in 2019. The report was published just months before the pandemic took hold, a time period where we know that eating disorders rose and support waned. With the world now back in relative normality, what of the men who have been left unable to feel normal in their own skin?
I'm Ryan Ferguson, I'm 22 and I battle with body dysmorphia.
I'm Tommy, I'm age 43, I battled with anorexia and bulimia for over 20 years.
I'm Chris, I'm 22 and I struggled with having a negative body image during my teenage years.
I'm Sean Crawford, I'm 35 and I'm morbidly obese.
I guess just start off by talking about how you would describe your relationship with your body and your body image.
Up and down, but a proper roller coaster.
Your life's out of control, and for some people they could gravitate to drugs or alcohol. For me it's obviously food.
Damn, why am I like this and everyone else in my family isn't?
Having body image issues and caring about, disliking your body or whatever shows that you're not invincible, shows vulnerability. And unfortunately, many men struggle with experiencing vulnerability or showing it to others.
It's even more wrong now to be bigger, I think, than it ever has been. I probably eat once or twice an hour, every hour till I went to bed. So you're talking at least 13, if not 26 times in a day.
These extreme habits saw Seán rise to 30 stone in weight after leaving his job and losing a close friend.
You've got to be able to love yourself before anybody else does. It's a bit cliche, I think, but I do think there's a lot of truth in that as well. So,
do you love yourself?
No. I would go as far as to say now that, I live life for the sake of living life, for the sake of my daughter. And I don't mean that in a sense that I'm going to go out and do something stupid. I just don't enjoy life anymore. I don't get excited about life.
Much of our conversation leads back to Seán's 5-year-old daughter. Less than 200 metres from their house is this park, a place of great joy for some, but for Seán, it's a cruel reminder of his limitations, fueling a feeling of failure.
Straight in that I get the pains that hinder me from bringing her here. Not just bringing her here, but being able to do stuff with her when we're here. because obviously she sees other parents playing with their kids. She wants me to pick her up and do stuff with her. I'm not able to do that. So mentally, like, it feels like you're letting her down as a parent. I didn't want to give up, but I genuinely feel like I'm as well just coming up. Like, it don't exist. It's an existence. It's no life. Like, it isn't a life at all. Like, so I don't know where we go from here, but
Here, in this quaint East Lothian village, Seán can live out a reclusive life, but it's far from a happy one. Athol Stainford, the birthplace of Scotland's flag, born out of a battle fought near here during the Dark Ages. My trip has emphasised that for male body image, those Dark Ages still very much prevail.
Body image issues typically don't come alone. They also come together with anxiety, with depression probably, with social anxiety maybe, of going out meeting people.
I looked in the mirror and I really hated myself, that what was looking back in the mirror at me. And I knew that I was really underweight and I wanted to get healthier and I wanted to get better, but for me it was a way of controlling things and a way of punishment.
The thing I've missed the most is football, and that's the thing that I kind of know that I'll never be able to do again. That's like soul destroying there.
Coming home, I just sat on the end of my bed and I remember looking in the mirror and like bursting into tears, and I realised I was like, what am I doing to myself? Like, I'm still not happy, I'm putting all this effort in, I'm still not where I should be, where I want to be. And I think like, that was the lowest point I got to when I realised I was like, I need to get a grip of this.
For me, getting into the gym felt like a clean slate, but in actual fact, it just led to more obsessive behaviour and more self-hatred. And I'm not alone in that. Ryan is the same age as me and has had many of the same experiences as me. So we've come here for a gym session to hopefully lift some weight off our shoulders. Up. Well done. Nice one. Ryan's making me go for a PB. I'm not feeling good about it, but we'll see. Right, are you ready? Let's see it. Let's go. Oh. Right. Ready? 3, 2, 1, up. Right. Oh yeah. Go on. Down. Up. Big drive. Come on. Big drive. Come on. I told you I wasn't feeling good about it. So when you were at your most obsessive and like controlling over the gym, what were your days looking like at that point?
A typical day for me at my worst was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going down an hour of cardio a day with no food, no water, nothing in me.
No food?
No energy source whatsoever. Mental state was horrific. It was probably the lowest I've ever been. I had no social life, I had no time for myself, I didn't do anything I enjoyed, wasn't eating any food I liked. It was just purely routine, and that was it. It was horrific.
What was it that made Ryan feel this way? A battle with body dysmorphia.
There you go.
A common struggle for those in and out of the gym sphere.
Body dysmorphia is probably the worst thing that a person can have, because it's entirely self-inflicted. Nobody else is putting that opinion in your head, it's you. It's literally a battle of you versus you. You could walk out the door and think, I look extremely fat, I'm not happy with the way I look. And really you could actually be the skinniest you've ever been, and you're still in your mind tell yourself, you need to do more, you could look better. And it's just a constant battle with your own mindset.
Away from the brutality of bodybuilding, Ryan's found a new and healthier passion, no longer lifting plates, but spinning discs.
Now that I've moved away from bodybuilding and my focus has moved on to music and DJing, I'm less anxious around my body because I'm not focusing on it 24/7. I'm not constantly worried about how people are perceiving my image, how I look, and from that I've gained a lot of confidence. I'm not as body focused as what I used to be.
But in terms of body image, inequality still persists. Body positivity for women has thankfully made positive steps forward in recent years. The increased pressure on men, though, often lives in the bombardment of social media content.
I realized how, like, most of these guys on social media are it's just like they've woken up, gone to the gym, have their pump, taken a picture. And when I kind of realized that, it kind of shattered my perception of movie stars, all of that.
Men are expected to be both thin but also quite muscular at the same time, which again is physically almost impossible to achieve unless you're using, steroids or supplements or just going to excess with what you do with your body.
I think everybody's more cautious round about what they say round about women as opposed to men. We're just expected to be able to cope with it.
Back when I was doing track, for example, I always had a difficulty with my body image because most athletes tend to be a little bit on the burlier side. It's like the whole idea that that's kind of carried over a little bit, that especially in like Western cultures, that black people are just there for your entertainment. Like way back when they would keep us in zoos and shit like that, that kind of idea has kind of slowly bled in. It's only really see other cultures and other races being exemplified when it's for sports or music, and kids, that's kind of like the only thing that they kind of look up to. It's being in shape, being an athlete, being a rapper, singer or whatever, and just making sure that you're like, you look good.
Chrissy's way of looking good is through his use of makeup. Kicking against traditional masculinity, his intricate artwork tells an entirely different story.
When I realised that throughout history, it was mainly men that wore makeup as like a sign of power and wealth. And it was only kind of recently in the past 200 or so years that women have really been starting to use it for cosmetic purposes. I kind of started to model my makeup after that, where a lot of my makeup is very bold and flashy, not for the idea of like beautification or transforming my face, but just as a statement.
That history and strength that Chris talks about deserves to be shared, and I could tell from our conversations that he wanted it to be out there. So I thought a city centre photo shoot could be the best way to make a statement.
All these photos, like, I'm feeling sexy as a motherfucker in that one. God damn!
As we ascend towards Edinburgh Castle, Chrissy's boldness is also on the rise. The temperature, though, was declining, which made his next request all the more impressive.
Honestly, these photos are amazing. I'm thinking maybe doing a couple ones just topless, especially with the view behind us, because that is gorgeous. Is that good with you, Sean?
Yeah, go for it, man. That sounds amazing.
Amazing. All right, let's do some quick because it's cold.
So Chris, it's been a freezing day in the capital, but we've managed to get through it. And how do you feel going from someone who's been, just a few years ago you were struggling with your body image a lot, and now you're standing there just down from Edinburgh Castle with your top off?
It's quite amazing actually. It's very hard to put into words. Just being able to be out in the open and not feel anything about it, not feel like ashamed or anything like that, was kind of a exhilarating experience. I wasn't overly focused on how I looked. I wasn't constantly tensing. I wasn't always focused on are my abs looking good? Am I just it's just there, top off, who cares? people came, people saw. I was like, hey, you can pass if you want. I don't really mind. That was like really, it kind of like was like a weight on my chest.
For Chris, the waters have calmed, but in this issue, it's easy for someone's wings to be clipped at any time.
Such a sliding scale. It's such a dangerous line, and you never know when you're gonna end up tripping and going into obsessing about it.
When obsession takes over, escapism becomes all the more important. I meet Tommy on his safe haven of Irvine Beach. There's blue skies and golden sand, desirable distractions from internal turmoil. So Tommy, on a sunny Ayrshire day like this, I could see why you'd want to come down to Irvine Beach, but for you, when you were battling your eating disorder, how important was it to you as an escape?
Yeah, it was really, I found it really peaceful. I just found that the sea really kind of calmed everything that I was feeling, so when I came down here I had no worries and I could just kind of let things go. And it's all the kind of thoughts about the eating disorder, about the voice kind of shouting at you that you're worthless, that you need to lose weight, that you need to do this, you need to do that. And to come here, you just get kind of lost in the moment. You don't kind of think about things, you're just looking out at the sea and you're enjoying things and everything will drift us away.
Staring out to sea on the Ayrshire coastline is one of the ways Tommy navigates his relationship with his body. Struggling with bulimia and anorexia for more than 2 decades, his weight has fluctuated over time to dangerous degrees. The gravity of grief hits us all differently. For Tommy, it nearly cost him his life.
At that point, my mum had suffered long-term cancer in the womb, and really what happened was my grandfather died the month before her. And I remember going to register my grandfather's death, and I turned round to my mum and I said I was going to start giving up things like pizzas and sweets and things I considered treats at that time. Mum would pass away the month after him, and that's when really things like escalated out of control. And over the next 3 years, I ended up suffering a massive heart attack when I went to visit my family over in Australia, and that's when I was first diagnosed as actually having an eating disorder.
After hearing the stories of so many others, it feels like now's the time to better understand myself and hopefully show that for men in Scotland, opening up isn't something to be feared.
A lot of people think that it's a weakness actually opening up about your eating disorder and that, but it's far from the truth. Like, I believe that real men should open up about their struggles.
I feel like they think they have to be okay with it in their heads. They're like, if I'm gonna be like this, like I have to like accept my reality.
Like, you find it hard to speak up and like say that to people, but when you realise if the mates you've got are injured, you realise that you can talk about it now.
This was my escapism, my safe place, my Irvine Beach. Scald Law, the highest point of the Pentlands. Outdoors allows for a breath of air when it feels like you're swimming upstream. The peaks and troughs, a reminder of how normal your feelings are. Opening up about and overcoming your body image can feel rocky. At the start, it may seem like there's more than just hills in your way, but full-scale mountains. As we've seen though, through Sean's self-searching, Ryan's reflections, Chrissy's confidence, and Tommy's turnaround, the climb is worth making for anyone. The summit is always in reach. Looking back at the new people I've met and the new things I've learned, it's obvious that something needs to lift men up to similar heights. Mirrors can be broken and stigmas can be shattered, but only if more is done to maintain the conversation, to tackle our insecurities and to provide meaningful support. Then, men in Scotland can stop obsessing over the reflection in the mirror image.